Thanks, Claire, and thanks everyone for coming along. We put the call out a couple of weeks ago for anyone who wants something better to vote for in the ACT to come out today. You've all come out, so you've all outed yourself as swing voters. We'll have someone at the door taking your details and we'll hold you to that come October. You can hold us to the something better part. But honestly, I mean, I think it's incredibly powerful and inspiring to see this number of people come out with an interest in something better in politics. I think there are more of us across the city. I've spoken with a lot of them already and we're excited to speak with hopefully all of them over the next 9 months. I think it could be helpful to share a little bit about my story. Would have been nice if Claire just told it, but I'll tell it instead. I pretend to not like to talk about myself, but... So I did grow up in a political family. My father was a cabinet minister in the Rudd Gillard government, so very Labor Party lines in the household growing up. I never found it interesting. I wasn't interested growing up. It wasn't something I was engaged with. A little bit embarrassed joining David's team to expose myself and how little I know about it. But I just didn't see it as a vehicle for the kind of change that I thought was needed. I went off and studied philosophy at ANU, which was great, and then as Claire said, came out of that and I'd spent 4 years thinking a lot and thought I wanted to do something and make a positive contribution to my community. So I started Praxis, a movement studio over in Canberra. We were in Phillip to begin with, and I'd always had an interest in setting up kind of a community centre or something like that. But you need something to do in a community centre. You can't just gather and talk about community. And I came across something called movement practice, which had helped me. I had some chronic pain and injuries through my university and high school years, and I wanted to share that. And that's what Praxis became. I think we've got some people from the group here, and for me it was and still is, I'm still running the business, a place where people can come together and try to make their lives a little bit better, you know, and gather around something positive. And I think that's something that we can do through this movement as well. When David put his hand up to run in the ACT, I knew Dave a little bit personally, and I figured he's probably not just saying all this stuff about integrity because it's the right thing to say. I was confident he meant it. And I had wondered to myself in the years before that whether people with integrity who just wanted to speak the truth and advocate on behalf of their communities could ever get elected and be successful. And when Dave put his hand up, I thought, this is what we need. And I think a lot of people felt that way. He wasn't alone. Kate was in that wave as well, and so many others were. And I think it's been amazing to see that they've proved that we can, that is possible, that we can get people in politics with high ethical standards that aren't there to represent anyone else but their communities. They're not there to represent themselves. They're not there for their own careers, or maybe they are. I don't know what the plan is in terms of promotion. Sometimes Dave gets asked if he'll become Prime Minister, but he doesn't want to join either party, so they're there to do the best they can by their communities, and I think we can bring that to the ACT, to local politics here. I've been working for Dave for the last year and a half and speaking with a lot of people across Canberra. Started with a lot of the small business community who just don't feel that this government's there for them, that this government understands the experience of a small business owner and cares about it, where they do. But it's not just the small business community, and this is what's frustrated me, is that there are all sorts of different cohorts of people across our city that don't feel represented. And you have enough conversations. Multicultural community doesn't feel represented. Younger people don't feel like the government's listening to them. Older people feel forgotten. We've spoken a little bit about the First Nation issues. You have enough of those conversations, you start asking who are they representing? And I don't have a good answer. Maybe we can ask it of them. But I felt I couldn't have another conversation like that without trying to do something about it. And so that's why I put my hand up as a potential candidate and tried to pull this group together, which has been a lot of work and a lot of pushing and pulling and trying to figure out how do you make a group of independents work. We're trying to prove that we can do that over the next 8.5 months so that we can have some practice once we get in there working together, while retaining our independence and our freedom to disagree. I think it's clear that we need representatives who put people first and start by listening. That we're not tacking the listening onto the end of a consultation where I ask you, oh, do you want tea or coffee? And you say coffee and I bring you tea because that's what I was going to bring you anyway. I think a lot of us anyone who's been involved and tried to engage with government here has had an experience like that, which is almost worse than not being asked. Don't ask my view unless you're interested in it. So I think that's what we need, and we need people who are willing to listen to what our community actually wants for Canberra and for our future. We've been speaking about the kinds of candidates we'd like to support, and Claire came up with the 3 A's, which I was against in the beginning because it's kind of cliche, but I think they're good. We need MLAs who are accessible to the community, who are active participants in community life, and like as has been said, that are actively going out and trying to connect with people who aren't already politically engaged, like some of us who, that's not where we came from, and I think it's something the independents can do. I haven't managed to get an MLA's office on the phone in the last 18 months. They don't answer their phones from what I can tell. If any are in here or you've got staff here, you'll probably be answering them tomorrow. But I'd encourage people to try out, see if you can get anyone on the phone. I haven't had any luck. People who would, in our community, who would love to meet with their local member or meet with the relevant minister and can't get a meeting, hear that they're too busy to connect with their community. We hear from them in David's office and often meet with them ourselves. I don't think it's good enough that people have to go to their federal senator to talk about footpaths, but it's what happens. And then representatives who take action on the basis of what they've heard. We see a lot of plans for plans being made, and they're great plans and they look beautiful when you lay them out in a nice brochure. I'd like to see some of the plans implemented. I've read some of the plans from 10, 15 years ago and they look great. I'd love to see them re-released and actually acted on, rather than replanning. So we're interested in taking action on the basis of what we've heard. And then finally, who are answerable to their decisions and who are accountable when they make mistakes. We need representatives who are willing to do that. And if they land on a different side of the argument, they come back to you and explain why. And that's how a good relationship works, and I think that's how democracy should work, is we don't all have to agree, but we should understand where we stand and we should understand why we disagree. Some of the things that I think we could focus on and I'd be interested in focusing on are backing locals who back themselves. We've got a lot of people across Canberra doing incredible things, trying to make a positive contribution to our community, starting businesses, building businesses. It might be commercialising research coming out of our universities here, or starting community organisations and trying to help out people in the community, and often doing a better job of it, providing services than the government does. And they just don't feel like the government's getting behind them, that the government's in touch with them. So if people back themselves, we should be backing them. And I know there's people in the room who are considering leaving our city, having started a business here because they don't feel there's a level of support that they need. They want to expand their operations and they try to find a way to work constructively with the government, and it doesn't seem the government's all that interested. I know some people who have left our city because they're tired of it. So we're interested in getting behind people who are getting behind themselves, and putting politics behind people. And then also helping locals who need our help. This is something that I wasn't aware of it until I started working in David's office. How many people aren't getting the help they need in our community? In areas like public housing, where we hear stories of black mold in the ceiling, literally mushrooms growing in people's carpet, mice in the walls, or public housing being left to become so decrepit that it's vacant despite a huge wait list. This isn't good enough. This is the national capital. We need to do something about that and look after people who need our help. And it's the same in healthcare. The highest gap payments in the country, lowest bulk billing rates in the country. 2-year wait list to see a paediatrician is what I'm hearing. So if you've got a child who needs help, they're not a child by the time they get into the doctor. If you don't have private health insurance in this city, you're in serious trouble. Or if you do and you can't cover the gap payments, you're also in trouble and you're expected to travel to Sydney or elsewhere. I don't think that's good enough either. And I know there's a federal component to health. Well, let's hold the Commonwealth to account if it's about that. Because again, I don't think it's good enough for a national capital to not be providing healthcare to the people who need it. We could talk about the problems all day, and I don't want to talk for too long, although I have been. Something that I'm excited to focus on is, what does Canberra look like if we get all of this right? This place has so much potential, so many people here who love Canberra and would love to see it thrive. I think we need a capital that's leading the nation rather than trailing other jurisdictions, that's trying new things, piloting new ideas, looking across the world for what's What's best practice in these areas? What can we try here as a smaller jurisdiction with one level of government? And we've had a government that's not had a strong opposition that could have been trying a lot of new things and trying to find innovative ways to solve our problems. A Canberra that's, well, decision makers who are building our city in a way that builds stronger communities rather than pulling people apart. There's a lot of people in the room who have tried to provide input into what's been happening in terms of development in this city, and we should be focusing on that. The way that we build our future matters, and whether we're building stronger communities or not is up to us. And also doing that in a way that preserves Canberra's natural beauty and preserves the character of this place that people really love. We can strive for world-class local government service delivery. And I think if you contact the government, you should hear back and you should have your concern actioned. And I don't mind focusing on things like footpaths and long grass, right? Pools and parks, these sorts of things affect people's lives. And that's what I'm not seeing done. And we walk through our neighbourhood with a pram in Dixon, and all we talk about is the footpaths and how much we need someone elected to tidy them up. And again, these are the concerns that we hear through the Senator's office, and we try to chase them up. So that's more that we can focus on. What I'd love to see above more is more ambition for our city and what's possible here. We can achieve a lot if we work together, and this is what the independent movement's about. It's about bringing people together, and anyone in our city who feels that way, becoming a part of it. You know, we want to hear from you and what you want to see us focus on, what you want to see prioritised. I think we can do so much if we work together and we bring people in to the political tent who otherwise wouldn't be, and maybe who have felt like the decisions get made over there without my input, and it doesn't matter whether or not I'm involved. It does matter. Our goal is to get at least one independent elected in every electorate. We think we can do it. We think if we do it, we can speak truth to power and hold the government to account. And our goal is that the government can't ignore us anymore, can't ignore our communities anymore, and has to negotiate with the community if they're going to do anything. That's the goal that we're aiming for, so that on October 20 we can wake up with a genuine crossbench independence in every electorate, and you have a local member you know you can go to and speak to and see their views change on the basis of what you've said. That's the outcome that we're shooting for. There's no way we can do it without help, though. Yeah, so if you're interested, or you know someone who might be interested, we desperately need your help. We need your time. We need your skills. We need your expertise. We need your money. We need to spread the word. We've got flyers all around the place. Please take a stack, take 5 or 10 flyers, give them to people you care about, who care about our community. Please come in and get involved from day one. We're going to be having more conversations like this. There'll be a little bit of time for input today, but our next meeting's on February 25th, and that's going to be focused on issues in central Canberra, in Kurrajong, so in the north, in the south, pulling people together and just hearing from you about what you're concerned about, what you want prioritised. And we'll do the same thing in other electorates over the coming months, as well, hunting for candidates who are willing to put their hands up in those electorates and represent their communities as best they can. So that's it from me. If you want to see us succeed, we need your help to do it. We think we can do it, and we think it'll be a great thing for the city. I mean, I honestly feel that way. We need great representatives in there who are ready to deliver better results for our city. So please get involved. Thank you.